Hey, good morning, Jacques. How are you?
I'm doing outstanding. I'm talking to Garth Brooks.
Entering his second year as the LSU head football coach.
It was the only way I could get a foot in the door.
Joined by the icon, Kim Mulkey. Hey, Coach, great to see you. All right, it's my pleasure right now to be joined by one of the greats in LSU baseball history, a tremendous pitcher and a huge part of the 2009 National Championship team. He then went on to a very good Major League Baseball career, and now he joins us. It's Lewis Coleman. Lewis, how you doing, man?
Doing good, Jacques. Thanks for having me on.
Well, thanks for making time for us. You look pretty much the same. You haven't really aged that much, so congratulations.
Well, thank you. Unpopular with Maneri back when we were playing. I actually have a beard now, so but I think he allowed that on the back end of his LSU tenure.
Yeah, he allowed some beards, and I think he was it Chris Cotton. He allowed him to grow his hair out because I think Maneri's wife said she liked it, thought it was cute or something like that.
There you go.
So no facial hair back then with Maneri.
No. And you had a 1 day. You had 24 hours to shave it if he caught you.
Well, real quick, where are you now?
I live in Elizabethtown, Kentucky. I'm about 45 miles south of Louisville. My wife, Allie, and we have 2 little girls, and we actually have a third one on the way. But we're only about 9 weeks. So we should be finding out the gender here real soon. We'll see. Fingers crossed. Maybe we'll have a boy.
All right. Well, congratulations on that. Sounds like everything is going well off the field. And so you had to get a real job, or what are you up to?
Yeah. So right when I got done, I started working with my father-in-law, tobacco and hemp. I did that for a little bit, got my feet on the ground, and then I went in with Lamar Advertising, worked with billboards, had the Louisville market was my territory, and did that for just over 3 years. And then about 3 months ago, I started working pharmaceutical sales with Sagent Pharmaceuticals. So that's what I'm doing now, and that's why you kind of got me on the run. I go in to see inpatient pharmacies and buyers, that sort of thing, and so I'm running around Louisville, hospital to hospital.
All right. Well, shout out to Starbucks, our makeshift studio at the moment.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, hopefully it doesn't get too noisy, but if it does, that's what we get for being in Louisville. So
yeah. Well, thanks for being with us. You're from Slaughter, Mississippi, correct?
That's correct. Yep, Slaughter.
How's it pronounced?
Slaughter, like a slaughterhouse, but it's spelled way different than you would pronounce it.
Yeah, it's SCHLATER. Is that right?
Correct. Yep, that's it. Yep.
And your high school, very unique name, Pillow?
Yep, Pillow Academy. The joke is we were the Fighting Blankets, but we were actually the Mustangs. Yeah.
Well, for cheesy sports guys like me, I guess that would lend to a lot of different kind of one-liners. You know, if you were bad, it'd be a pillow fight, right?
Right. Yep. Oh yeah. I'm sure it was a headline in the newspaper at some point.
Yeah, you're too soft, all that stuff, right? So, well, tell me about so it's Smoke Lavelle and Turtle Thomas that recruit you to LSU?
Correct. Yeah. So it started with the All-Star game. Actually, Cal Acord, he was coaching at was it Central Private, and he was the coach of the South. I was pitching for the North, and that's where it got started. And he got him down the rabbit trail, and it took a while, but eventually I wound up in Baton Rouge and grew up a State fan, Mississippi State fan, but very thankful that we didn't wind up there.
Yeah, I guess we'll just move forward in time, and then I'll get your thoughts on the latest and greatest, LSU winning their 8th national title. But I remember things differently than when I read. I remember the light really came on for you at the end of 2008 when you guys had the 23-game winning streak and made it to the College World Series. But in 2006, which was Smoke's last year, you were the Friday night starter for a while.
Yeah, I did some Friday nights, started off as a midweek guy. I think I had 5 maybe midweek starts, and then Clay Dirks missed the bus to go to Tennessee. So I was fortunate enough to be able to start Friday night there. And so I did several Friday nights. But then I was sometimes Saturday, sometimes Sunday, and had some really good outings and some really not so good outings. And some bright spots, but some stuff to definitely improve on after that year. And then it didn't necessarily get any better going into my sophomore year, with Maneri being his first year. I had a lot of maturation process. It took a little time. And then I'd say about halfway through '08 is when, I felt like I was coming into my own as a pitcher, learning how to balance academics and athletics and all sorts of things. But there were other guys like Jared Bradford, they were doing their job, and I just wasn't getting a shot. And so I had a meeting with Maneri, and reluctantly he, let me in and was, you know what, I'll give you one more chance. Let's see what you can do. And we took it all from there. So.
Well, and people these days enter the transfer portal for different reasons and whatnot. But I look at you and I wonder, hey, if the transfer portal was alive back then, hey, things aren't going well. I got this new coach, Maneri, who, we know the stories. I mean, when he came in, it was a boot camp, right? We got to turn this thing around. I'm out of here. I'm going to go somewhere else. But thank goodness you stuck with it, and the rest is history.
Yeah, and Jock, I'll tell you, it didn't take long. I was only in school for maybe 2 weeks, and then Katrina hit. But I was quickly purple and gold was injected into my veins, and I remember after my sophomore year, Maneri was telling me that I could turn around and walk on, but I was done with scholarship. I was not coming back to LSU, and I remember I just broke. I was sobbing. I was crying like a baby because I loved Baton Rouge. I loved LSU. And it's not that I took it for granted. It's just I had not quite figured out how to balance it all, or I don't know. But I was heartbroken. I was like, so he figured it out. Him and Terry Rooney, they put the pencil to the paper and figured out what they could do. They cut my scholarship, but it still allowed my family to afford to send me out of state. And from that moment on, like, I tell people, if something changed your life as much as LSU changed mine, outside of Jesus Christ, it's like you would wear it on your sleeve as much as I do. And I love LSU for that reason. Coach Maneri being a huge part of it have allowed me to stick around. But Baton Rouge changed my life. I wouldn't be sitting here in the Starbucks in Louisville. It would not have taken me on the same route. And I grew up on a small farm in small town Mississippi, and even if there was a transfer portal, you sign up for a job, and because LSU meant so much to me, I don't think I ever could have left. They're going to have to tell me to leave. They're going to have to cut me. They're going to have to pry it out of my hands type thing. And I'm so thankful I didn't, because it taught me a lot of life lessons and stuff that, my girls are playing soccer now and they don't like it. They want to, I don't want to go to practice. No, we signed up for this. Whereas if maybe it didn't work out or I had to leave or something, there would have been that little void where I would have maybe pass that on to my kids. Like, we can do something else. And no, we signed up for it. Let's do it. Let's finish the job. We'll reassess at the end of the year.
Wow, that's some powerful words there. I think they should play that on the Jumbotron in Tiger Stadium. That was a 2-minute ad. That was just glowing for Louisiana State University and the impact it's had on you. But yeah, I mean, the tale of so many, right, who come to LSU and changes their life.
Yes, absolutely. And I have lifelong friends, not just teammates, but people that are in the coaches committee, like just that you met along the way, or just fans that you met along the way that I'll never forget it. It goes a lot further than just playing baseball. It was the groups that I was a part of outside of baseball, the classmates that I met along the way. I still am in touch with a lot of people because I love Baton Rouge that much. I never envisioned that I would marry someone that lived in Kentucky and was never wanting to leave Kentucky. But thankfully she lets me come to Baton Rouge and I get to be a part of it as much as I want to be. But I just said God's plan was always, I'm going to marry this huge Cajun LSU fan. I'm going to be living smack dab in the middle of Baton Rouge my entire life, but it's not my plan.
Well, I'm glad you're happy, and that's awesome. But yeah, usually the story is guy comes into Baton Rouge, meets Baton Rouge girl, never leaves. That's the one that you hear a lot of.
I knew it was in the cards, but I think there was a whole nother deck of cards for me.
Yeah. All right. Well, you just have to root for the Kentucky. Well, no, you don't root for the Kentucky Wildcats. No.
No.
Or Louisville or whatever.
Yeah. I pull for Dan McDonald. I do not pull for the Cardinals, but I do pull for Dan McDonald.
Yeah.
I watch some Kentucky sports because all of my in-laws are diehards, and I don't like seeing my nephews cry whenever they lose in a super or something. But I told them when LSU and Kentucky played in the super in 23, I was like, sorry, boys, it's over.
And it was over.
Yeah,
LSU,
very fast.
LSU smacked them pretty good in 2 games.
Yeah.
So to this day, you guys are all in a group text too, right? The '09 national championship team and those guys.
Yes, sir. There's, I swear it's about 20 of us. It's a bunch of them. Some guys are in there and never say anything. Sometimes I go weeks without responding, but I tell them I look at it every day. I love seeing what Will Davis is doing and at Lamar, Nolan's doing in Texas, but then also catching up with the other guys that are doing day to day, just like I am, and just seeing where they are in their life and how their kids are doing. And somebody's got engaged, somebody's married, somebody's having kids. It keeps us close. And so when I do get down there, and maybe I haven't been in 18 months, it's like I just got done talking to them in person yesterday.
Well, the guys I talked to, we had Ronaldo come by the other day, Schimpf, Micah Gibbs, Mikey Matuk. They all say you haven't changed. You're still the humble country guy you've always been, despite making it. You pitched 7 years in the majors.
Well, I like to say I played 11 seasons, and I amassed almost 5 years. So almost 5 years in the big leagues, but a lot of minor leagues through there.
Well, 264 games, I believe, you appeared in the majors, from what I can see. And that '09 team, 13 guys, AAA or higher, I believe I was told.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And Jock, you would probably know better than me, but I know that we had a lot of guys get drafted, a lot of guys had success, but there were some guys that, they didn't necessarily work out, maybe injuries or whatever, but that team we had a stacked team, and it was a lot of fun to play with. And I did see that Austin Nola just got called back up again. And you want to talk about a grinder and just the epitome of LSU baseball and the type of player that you want in college, but also in pro ball. The guy never gives up. He is the quietest, most humble guy, but he deserves it more than anybody.
Well, Maneri's old joke was he was mad at Nola's parents, and he said, why? Because they didn't have more kids.
You're right. Absolutely. Yeah, they were
Aaron and Austin.
There
yeah. Austin, y'all used to call him Father Nola, I believe, because he was just so he wouldn't jaywalk, right? I mean, the guy was just so pure.
Yep. I believe it.
Yeah. And then Aaron comes along, and obviously he's lighting it up in the majors and so forth. You're on the mound there to get the final outs in 2009. What was that feeling like for you?
I was in the bullpen warming up, and Maneri said, "Hey, you can go get loose. I'm not promising anything." I think deep down he wanted to try to get me out there. But when I went out for the 8th, I was like, Matty Ott had been Matty Ice all year and closed us out. So I said, well, I guess I'm going to go for the 8th. This will be my tip of the cap type deal. And just figured that Maneri was going to go to Ott to finish it out. And so I come in after the 8th. Helen, he makes a heck of a play. And then I get into the dugout, and he said, "How are you feeling?" And I mean, my eyes lit up. I was like, "Coach, I feel better than I did in the last 6 months. I'm good." And he's like, "Are you sure?" I promise, Coach. And he said, "I tell you what, anybody gets on base, I'm coming to get you." And I was like, "Deal. I got it. We're good." First batter, 4-pitch walk. And he's like, he's told me before, he said, "I couldn't let you end your LSU career on a walk." So he's like, "I was going to give you one more batter. Maybe you get just to see where it goes." We were up by 7. And so just being able to be on that mound, thinking about how we got to LSU, even just coming from Slaughter, such an out of this world experience, felt so foreign, so hard to even play Division I ball. And then to be able to be on the mound and an All-American and just grow into the player that I was able to grow into with the help of a lot of people, it gets you pretty emotional at times. But people always say, "What's your favorite moment?" And I know that's what they want me to say, but I always go back to '08. We had a heck of a run, and that moment after the game and the way that everybody surrounded me after that grand slam when North Carolina takes us home, I could not get that taste out of my mouth. We were trying to get as much money as we possibly could from the Nationals. But I remember telling Maneri I was fishing a little lake by myself. And he calls, and I was trying to get him to get me into Cape Cod. I don't think he wanted me to go because then more people would have seen me. And but he finally got me in. And he called and said, I can get you in a couple of weeks. And I said, you know what, Coach? How about we just make a deal? I'll come back to LSU. I'm not going to the Cape. He said, what are you doing? I'm fishing. I'm not coming. I'm not going. I'll be back at LSU. And so, that's the moment I think about. And that's what kind of brought me to that last pitch, last inning there in Omaha in 2009 was thinking about it's just kind of all flashing before your eyes. And I go back to the injected purple and gold into my veins. It's I just told Gibby, I said, come tackle me, get my arms inside. He probably won't ever tell you this, but he kissed me on the forehead. It was it's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, what a great dude, huh, Mikey Gibbs?
Yeah, he's the best. He's about as loyal as a year later. He gave me the ball.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yeah, I still have the ball. It's on the shelf. I didn't even write on it because I didn't want to mess it up.
So he pocketed it in the moment and then returned it.
Yep. He said a year later, he said, you know what? I think you deserve this more than me. I said, Gibby, no. He said, I don't have anywhere for it. Just take it, put it on the shelf. All right, buddy. Thank you. His dad gave me, remember the old school, the purple L, no names on the back. They were like off-white.
Yeah.
Like the old school looking. His dad was number 29 in college, bought the jersey, and then a year later he sent it to Mike and said, give this to Lewis. So I have that jersey just because of his dad. So great family.
That's awesome. We had a great time when I had Ronaldo and Gibby in the other day talking about Chad Jones. And when y'all put him in the game to pitch for the first time on a Sunday against Auburn, and like Ronaldo's saying, here this guy comes out of practice, me and Lewis Coleman, this is all we do. And he's throwing, hey, I can throw a slider. And he's, dialing up 92 miles an hour and making it drop and spin and everything. And you put him in the game and he bases loaded. He gets 2 outs, gets out of it, and then he shakes Maneri's hand. Thank you for letting me pitch today. I mean, yeah. What a wild scene, huh?
Yeah, well, and I remember he got an out and he turned around because he puts up 2 up in the air like he didn't even know the etiquette. It's like
right.
Somebody new playing golf, like they don't know all the little
unwritten
rules. Yeah, and but that guy was he was as genuine and down to earth like on the baseball field. I cannot imagine what he was like on a football field because like. In Omaha when he comes in and he's pounding his chest, you're like, this guy is an animal. And that's one of the guys that I know it wasn't baseball, but when he got drafted by the Giants, so much potential and just unforeseen circumstances. And so then he tried baseball and he had some success and then another injury. And I just hated it for him because he's such a good dude. Man, he got me pretty hyped up when he was pitching, but I couldn't imagine him coming barreling down on a safety blitz or something. Yeah, he was a large human.
Yeah, as we said the other day, one of the greatest athletes in LSU history to be a national champion in football and baseball and contribute a lot to both of them.
Yeah,
tremendous guy, and has handled the cards he's dealt on that very well. I mean, he could be bitter about it, but he's done his very best with it, and it's commendable.
Absolutely. And Jared Mitchell, I mean, for them to be able to do what they did, Chris Jackson as well. Those 3 were 3 of the best athletes I've ever seen, and to do both the way they did it. I just remember seeing highlights of Jay Mitch in high school, rolling left, throwing left-handed, rolling right, throwing short passes right-handed. I mean, those were some special players, all 3 of them.
Yeah. Then you had Blake Dean, one of the more deadly hitters in LSU history. Schimpf hits over 20 home runs on that 2009 team. Matuk, as we talked about, was a freshman. Leon Landry was on SportsCenter multiple times for the catches he would make in the outfield. It just goes on and on with that team.
Yeah, and I've got a feeling some of Leon's were off of me because I gave up my fair share of homers. Jay Mitch, he had some. I remember one at Alabama. But yeah, we had some tremendous athletes, and we already talked about Austin Nola, but even Mikey and a bunch of the freshmen. Matty Odd, our Hanover was there. But we had a bunch of freshmen that stepped up and played integral parts. I think Hanover, maybe he was a junior. But anyway, there were a lot of freshmen that year that stepped up and made some played some big roles. And you think about throwing Nola in at shortstop after not really playing with LeMahieu there and Kemp at second and just thrown into the fire in the middle of the season. Anyway, pretty big time.
Yeah, I guess I should have mentioned DJ LeMahieu. He's done okay for himself.
Yeah, I feel like he's still playing. I don't know. He might be. He's so quiet. He's got to be the quietest person in all of New York City.
yeah. He's still playing, and it's not in a slow pitch beer softball league. I guarantee it. So
yeah.
I remember this pale freckle faced kid comes in, and maybe you wouldn't pick him as being this guy's going to be an all-star in the majors one day. But what a career!
Yeah, and didn't even have a fence in his high school field. So
is that right?
Yeah.
So you just keep running, and just hope to catch it, or what?
I think I'm pretty sure that's what Maneri said. The only reason why he didn't have very many homers in high school is because they didn't have a fence.
Yeah, that's a
don't you might want to fact check that, but I'm pretty sure he didn't have a fence.
That's crazy. Good stuff. All right, so when you watch LSU win the national title, and you've seen it twice in 3 years now, but this 25 team, what did you see as a fan now?
In 23 they were slam bloated, right? They had everybody at every position. They had some studs. This year I thought they had some studs, but they had to do a lot of things right all the time. And the fielding percentage. I mean, you look at that. If they don't field the way they did, maybe they don't win it because they make some big plays when the pitchers did get in jams, or they hold the line there for a little bit and keep it a one-run deficit instead of letting it get out of hand. And then a big bat comes through, and Jared Jones, and I know he went through that little slump, but they're making great plays and holding it, and then he does run into one, and it's a 2-3 run shot, and now we're winning, and then we got the studs that can close it out. That's what I got away from it the most, is that Jay got everything he could out of every single player. And there were guys at the end of the year that weren't playing as big a roles early in the year, but they stepped up and got it done. And obviously, Cade and Anthony, they kind of held their end of the rope with a little bit of skippism there, but they held their end for the entire season. And I think their attitude and the way they went about their business, it definitely showed and rubbed off on everyone else.
Yeah, I agree with you. 2023, that team felt like they were under the gun from the get-go. I mean, Dylan Cruz and Paul Skeens, they go 1 and 2 in the draft, and it's like those guys, and Trey Morgan and your Braden Jobears and all this talent, Tommy White, getting him. It's like it was, I don't want to say national championship or bust, but definitely Omaha or bust if they wouldn't have made it. This team all year at Lewis, it was like, they're good, they're solid, but national championship, nah. And they did it.
Yeah, and like to your point with 23, they, I think they went into that season. If they don't win it, they felt like that season was going to be a letdown, and that's because it's LSU, not because of anywhere else. But then this year, I thought they were a really good baseball team. They beat some really good teams throughout the season and looked really good. But then you'd look up and you'd say, that was not the same team, or that weekend did not look anything like what's going on. And then the next weekend they'd come in and they'd dominate somebody. They went 2 out of 3 and looked really good. So I thought the inconsistency was my only question. Are we going to put it together at the right time? And I think the Little Rock series and all that, it's not that we didn't do what we were supposed to do. I think Little Rock was as hot as a firecracker, and they put it together at the right time and made it tough on LSU. But if it wasn't for, they didn't just get to breeze through the regional, so every at bat mattered, and that definitely rolled over into the super regional, and they got through that one pretty good. And I think when they got kind of behind the 8 ball there in the World Series, or crunch time, you want to say, it's not that Little Rock was just this huge, overpowerful opponent, but it put them through the grinder.
Yeah.
And it was fresh. It wasn't like it happened week 6. It was fresh, and they grinded it out, and they made it look easy there the last couple of games against a team that had not lost in a really long time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was talking to Jay Johnson about it the other day. They're losing to Little Rock 5-1 on a Monday night at Ellick Box, and Kason Evans comes in, and if he comes in and gets shelled and it's 9-10-1, the season's over.
Over.
You know, he just dials this thing up and strikes out 9-10 guys in a row, whatever it was.
Yeah. I have never been like so jaw dropped. Like just I mean, I would watch throughout the season, but typically I wouldn't necessarily get to watch all 9 innings every game. I'd watch 4 or 5 innings and then got to go deal with the kids or something. But once it got to the postseason, my wife was way more lenient with me getting to watch every single pitch. And so I'd seen him pitch a little bit, but that was his coming out party for sure. I mean, he national stage, backs against the wall. If they score a run, the game could be over. At least we're a grand slam away from tying it. And he didn't stop. And then we got all the way back, and he didn't stop. And it was impressive because like I said, Little Rock was hot there, and they made baseball look easy for a second.
Yeah. All right. My cheap Zoom is going to run out in 9.5 minutes. I want to cram a few more things in with you. So, Cade Anderson and Anthony Einson before the year, we kind of know about these guys, but the average person may not know anything about them. And now they go down as in the same category as Anthony Ronaldo, Lewis Coleman, Paul Skeens, Ty Floyd, Thatcher Hurd really came through. And so what did you think about the 1-2 punch and how it all lined up that they stayed in the winner's bracket? And hey, we got our 2 guys to go 1-2 against Coastal Carolina.
I'm a big believer in, all right, let's plan for best case scenario and let's plan for worst case scenario. LSU didn't have to worry about worst case scenario. It worked out perfectly for them. And those 2, they're studs for a reason. And they put us in the position for it to work out perfectly. But that's what they did all year. They dominated, and they made it. There were several times where Cade threw a ton of pitches and got deep into ball games and saved the bullpen, and made it easy for the next 2 games on Jay to be able to make decisions. And not that you give away a game in the regular season or earlier in the turn or anything like that, but it made it where he was almost always going to win 2 out of 3.
Yeah. And just the Chase Shores also coming along and being the hammer down the stretch to close things out. It just takes a lot of pitchers, right? 2 years ago, Nate Ackenhausen, I don't think he had ever started a game, and you're in the loser's bracket, and if he gets shelled, it's over, and he goes out and throws, 6-7 innings of shutout ball. So I know there's a lot of pitchers on the roster because you need them.
Yeah, for sure. And when Ackenhausen came in, I'm sure it was 3 or 4 or 5 innings before everyone realized how to pronounce the last name. But
Yeah.
By the end of it, everybody knew exactly who he was, because that was one of those took a lot of guts, and you could see the fire. Like, he was no stranger to a big moment, even though he hadn't had it. He felt so comfortable, looked so comfortable. And same with these guys. And it's always fun to watch somebody throwing 102 miles an hour. So when I know Chase had there in the middle, he a lot of growing up or learning or whatever you want to call it. But on the back end, he'd been doing it for a long time.
Yeah. You didn't play that long ago, but what do you make of a Skeens who deep in the game is still throwing 100 miles an hour? It's like he's not human. It's like he's a cyborg or something.
Yeah. I will say this, I never threw 100 miles an hour or anything where close to it, but I always felt like I got stronger as the game went on. And so that's what I noticed in Skeens. It's like you get in a rhythm. I used to run longer distance pretty often, and the first mile was always the worst. After my first mile, I felt like I could run 10 miles, and I felt the same from 1.1 mile to 10 mile. And so that's what I've noticed, and that's what Skeens, he just, there's certain people with certain God-given talents, and he has that, but then he also does everything he can to use those talents.
Yeah. I squeezed out 3 miles this morning, Lewis. Are you proud of me?
Yeah, that's awesome. Hey, that's way more. I bet you I don't put in 3 miles in a year.
Well, but you're right though. That first mile is always the worst, and then okay, it gets a little better. But South Louisiana heat killing me. But anyway, let's talk about this. So Jay Johnson, he's 48 years old. He's already won 2 national championships. Let's just say he coaches another 20 years at LSU and wins just 1 national championship every 4 years. He'd have 7 national titles. He'd pass up Skip Bertman. What do you think about this guy?
I think he's great. I text him from time to time, and he acts like that we're best friends, like we've known each other forever. And I think I've met him in person for 30 seconds at a scrimmage 2 years ago. I can tell that he lives and breathes baseball. He loves it, but he can be hard nosed into it, but then he can also be laid back, and you can see him smiling, having a good time too. I think the players absolutely respect him. They love playing for him. I could see him winning one every 4 or 5 years, and I think he would be upset if he didn't. I think Omaha is going to get used to seeing a lot of purple and gold. Even just at the World Series, it's always best when we're there, and I think they're going to get their wish. Rocco's might need to get ready, those little cups or whatever. But yeah, I've really enjoyed and admired watching him do what he did, and it goes like even Coach Maneri coming in after Laval, and just things have started to go not in the direction that LSU was used to. And Maneri's biggest thing was discipline from the very get-go. Times have changed a little bit in the way that you can go about things and social media and all that, but he did a great job of implementing the discipline early, and I think that's what it got him on the straight and narrow fast, and that's exactly what I feel like Jay's done. They might be able to do certain things that Maneri wasn't allowed to do, or that Skip didn't allow, or whatever, but he has set that groundwork. And guys come in as freshmen or transfers, and they know exactly what they're getting because they're seeing it day in and day out from these previous teams, and they buy in real fast because he's such a player's coach.
Yeah, and I guess last thing here, like you said, respecting the past, right? Embracing the past. And to me, it seems like the coaches at LSU have got themselves into trouble or had some problems are the ones who sometimes, hey, this is my fraternity, that was that fraternity, or separating it. But like Kim Mulkey, when they win the national title, Adrienne Webb, she was playing basketball when you were there. She said she goes out to her mailbox and she's got a piece of the court from when they won the national championship. So making everybody feel a part of it, right?
Yep.
Embracing your fraternity or sorority, whatever the case may be. Hey, you're LSU.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think the coaches that have been able to do that, but then also associate with the fans in a way where they feel like they're a part of it as well, has helped them, because then when those moments do get tight in the 7th, 8th inning, the fans are more apt to want to be involved and not hostile, but cheering the players on, cheering the coaches on, because they genuinely enjoy being around players and coaches, and they think that they're there to bring LSU a championship. And so I think Jay has embodied all of that and has certainly carried himself in the right way. And he's been putting a pretty good product on the field too.
No doubt. 2 national championships in 3 years, 150 wins. They're averaging 50 wins per year last several years. So, Lewis Coleman, you're the best, man. Thanks so much for making time for us today. And please let us know when you come to Baton Rouge.
Absolutely, Jock. I really appreciate it. I love talking to LSU anytime. I'm love doing it.
All right. We'll have you back during football season. Can you break down Garrett Nussmeier and all that for us?
I don't think you want my takes on that. My quarterbacking I thought was above average, but nothing close to his level.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jock.